like a countdown. When he appeared in the doorway, his face was flushed with anger and something else. Fear. Sweat had soaked through his shirt, and his hands trembled slightly. "Your cop friends just signed your death warrant." Pete grabbed Mark's arm, dragging him from the room. "Come on, time to see the grand tour before you die." They moved deeper into the basement complex. Mark's horror grew with each room they passed. A stained mattress in one corner, chains bolted to walls with disturbing wear patterns suggesting frequent use. Video equipment, cameras on tripods, professional lighting rigs, monitors showing different angles of a concrete room. The setup made Mark's stomach heave. Quite the operation, right? Pete's voice was manic now, high-pitched and unstable. 6 years of careful work. Would have been 6 more if you hadn't. "Is Sarah here?" Mark's voice cracked. "Is my daughter here? Please, I just need to know." Pete smiled coldly. "You want to know what happened to your precious daughter. You want to know everything." They stopped at the industrial freezer Mark had noticed earlier. Pete yanked open the heavy door, revealing the empty interior. The smell of bleach was overwhelming. "This is where I kept your daughter's friend. 2 years in here before I had to move her. Construction starting next door. Workers getting too close. Had to dump her quick." Pete laughed bitterly. "And wouldn't you know it, Google's Street View car drives by at exactly the wrong moment. All my careful planning ruined by a underscore mapping car." "Sarah," Mark pleaded, "just tell me. You're going to end up exactly like May in this freezer, and no one will ever find you because I learned from my mistakes." Suddenly, shouting erupted from above, multiple voices, boots thundering on stairs. The monitors on the wall showed police vehicles surrounding the building, officers at every exit. "Police, Pete Garrison. We know Mark Thompson is here." Pete's face went white. He spun toward the monitors. Mark's car was surrounded by police vehicles. Officers in tactical gear were at every entrance. Rodriguez appeared on one screen talking into her radio. Later, Mark would learn that Rodriguez had grown suspicious when he didn't answer his phone after their last conversation. When patrol units spotted his car in the alley and found his phone inside, they'd returned in force. Pete grabbed Mark, spinning him around as a human shield. The gun pressed against Mark's head as officers flooded into the basement, weapons drawn. The narrow corridors filled with shouts, flashlight beams cutting through the dim space. "Back off," Pete screamed. "I'll kill him." Detective Rodriguez led the team, her weapon trained on Pete. Behind her, at least 6 officers had their weapons drawn. "It's over, Garrison. We've got the building surrounded. There's no way out. Then he dies with me." "Think about it," Rodriguez said calmly, though Mark could see the tension in her shoulders. "You shoot him, we shoot you. You die here in this basement. Is that what you want? Or do you want to live, to have your story heard? You don't understand." Pete's voice was breaking now. "You don't understand what I've built here. Help us understand. Put the gun down and tell us everything." Mark felt Pete's grip waver. The gun trembled against his temple. He could smell Pete's sweat, feel the man's rapid breathing. "There's no good ending here for you if you pull that trigger," Rodriguez continued, taking a small step forward. "But if you put the gun down, you live. You get a lawyer. You get to speak. Your piece, maybe even cut a deal. A deal." Pete's voice held a spark of interest. "Depends on what you tell us." "But dead men can't make deals, Pete. You don't understand what he cost me." Pete's voice cracked. 6 years, 6 perfect years, and he ruined it. We can talk about that, but first, the gun. For a long moment, nobody moved. The basement was silent, except for the hum of the freezer and Pete's ragged breathing. Mark could see officers positioned at every angle, red dots from laser sights dancing on the walls. Then Pete's grip loosened slightly, the gun dropping an inch. It was enough. In that split second of distraction, an officer from the side fired a taser. Pete convulsed, the gun clattering away as he collapsed. Officers swarmed him, securing the weapon and cuffing him as he writhed on the floor. "Underscore, bastards," Pete screamed. "You don't know what you've done. She'll die without me. She needs her medicine. She needs Mark." Rodriguez helped him up. "Are you hurt, Sarah?" Mark gasped, his legs barely supporting him. "He has Sarah. She's here somewhere." Rodriguez barked orders. "Search every room. Check every door. We're looking for Sarah Thompson, white female, 26 years old." Officers spread through the basement like a tide. Mark stumbled after them, his heart racing. They were methodical, checking each room, calling out clear as they moved. The basement seemed to go on forever, a maze of concrete and horror. "Lock door here," an officer shouted from down a corridor. Heavy reinforcement, multiple external locks. They converged on the location. The door was steel with 3 deadbolts that could only be opened from outside. Scratch marks marred the interior side as if someone had clawed at it. "Get the ram," Rodriguez ordered. 2 officers brought up a battering ram. It took 4 strikes before the door burst inward. The smell hit them first. Unwashed body, human waste, despair. "Oh my God," someone whispered. In the corner, on a filthy mattress, was a figure that made Mark's knees buckle. The woman was skeletal, her hair matted and long, wearing a stained nightgown that hung on her emaciated frame. She pressed herself against the wall, eyes unfocused and glassy, flinching violently as officers approached. "No, please," she whispered. "I'll be good. I'll be quiet. Please don't. Everyone back," Rodriguez commanded softly. "Give her space, Mark." Mark pushed past the officers, his vision blurring with tears. This couldn't be Sarah. This broken creature couldn't be his vibrant daughter. "Sarah, baby, it's Dad." She stared through him, no recognition in her vacant eyes. Her arms were covered in bruises, some fresh, some faded to yellow. Her cheekbones jutted sharply from her face. "Sonny," he tried desperately, using her childhood nickname, the one only family knew. "Sonny, it's Daddy. I'm here to take you home." Something flickered in her eyes. Her head tilted slightly like a bird hearing a distant call. "Daddy," the word was barely a whisper, uncertain like she was testing a foreign language. But he said, "You stopped looking." He said, "The world." He lied, "Baby, I never stopped. Looking, never." Sarah began to shake, then sob horrible broken sounds that didn't seem human. Mark gathered her skeletal frame in his arms as paramedics rushed in. She weighed nothing, her bones sharp through thin skin. "Is this real?" She kept asking, "Is this real?" He said, "I was dreaming when I saw the sun." "It's real, Sonny. You're safe now. You're safe." The paramedics worked quickly but gently, starting an IV, checking vitals. Sarah flinched at every touch, apologizing constantly. "I'm sorry, I'll be good. Please don't tell him I was bad." "Pete's been arrested," Rodriguez told her firmly. "He's in handcuffs. He can never hurt you again. As they prepared to move Sarah to a gurney, she gripped Mark's hand with surprising strength. There were others, she whispered before me. He showed me videos, said I'd end up like them if I wasn't good. Rodriguez's expression darkened. She stepped away to speak into her radio, ordering teams to tear the basement apart, to check every wall for hidden rooms. As the paramedics carried Sarah up the stairs, she saw sunlight through the bar windows and started crying again. The sun, she whispered. I thought I'd never. He said it was gone. Said there was war, nuclear winter. Just lies, Mark said, walking beside the gurney. All lies. Outside, the alley was filled with emergency vehicles. News vans were already arriving, kept back by police tape. Pete was in the back of a patrol car, and as they passed, Sarah saw him and went rigid with terror. No, no, please. I was good. I didn't tell them anything. He can't hurt you, Mark said firmly, blocking her view. Look at me, Sonny. Just look at me. As the ambulance doors closed, Mark caught a glimpse of Pete in the patrol car. The man who'd held his daughter captive for 6 years looked small, pathetic, his face twisted with rage at his perfect world crumbling. The ambulance pulled away, carrying Sarah toward her first taste of freedom in 6 years, toward a long road of healing that would begin with the simple act of seeing the sun and knowing it was real. The hospital's fluorescent lights hummed overhead as Mark sat beside Sarah's bed, watching nurses check her 4 lines. She'd been sedated for the examination, her skeletal frame barely making a shape under the white blankets. Every few minutes, even in drugged sleep, she would flinch or whimper. Detective Rodriguez appeared in the doorway, her expression grim. Mark, can we talk? The doctor said she'll be out for a while. Mark reluctantly followed her to a small consultation room down the hall. Rodriguez closed the door and sat across from him, opening a manila folder. Pete Garrison has confessed, she said without preamble. Our interrogation team worked on him for hours. He finally broke when we offered to recommend consideration for a lighter sentence if he told us everything. About both girls. Mark's hands clenched. What did he say? Rodriguez consulted her notes. He admitted to targeting intoxicated college girls at his bar. It was a pattern going back years. On April 9, 2010, he spotted Sarah leaving Chrome nightclub alone. She was highly intoxicated, stumbling. He approached her outside, told her that a friend was sick in the parking lot and needed help. She would have gone, Mark said quietly. She would have wanted to help May. When they got to his van, May appeared. She'd apparently been looking for Sarah. May immediately recognized something was wrong. She told Pete that Sarah was too drunk, that she needed to come with her. She tried to pull Sarah away. Rodriguez paused, her jaw tightening. That's when Pete pulled a gun. He forced both girls into his van. May fought back, tried to protect Sarah. In the struggle, Pete shot her. He says it wasn't planned, but he murdered her. Mark's voice was flat. Yes, he kept May's body in the bar's walk-in freezer for 2 years. Can you imagine serving customers, living his normal life with a murdered girl in his freezer? He only moved her when construction started on the adjacent building. He was afraid workers might need access to shared utility lines. The Google car. Pure coincidence. The Street View vehicle happened to drive by during the exact few minutes. He was transferring May's body to his car to dump in the sewer system. He thought he'd waited long enough. Thought the heat had died down. One photograph undid 6 years of careful planning. Mark felt sick. And Sarah all this time. Rodriguez's expression darkened further. This is where it gets worse. Pete had been filming Sarah's abuse. He's been distributing sexual exploitation videos on the dark web for 6 years. He had a whole setup, cameras, lighting equipment. He made money off your daughter's suffering. Mark bolted for a wastebasket, dry heaving. Rodriguez waited until he composed himself. "There's more," she said gently. "Pete admitted he's done this before. We found evidence of at least 3 other victims from before 2010, women who were never reported missing, likely sex workers or homeless women, people he thought wouldn't be searched for. How many others are in that basement? We're still searching." He had multiple properties. Sarah was moved between locations, kept in specially constructed rooms. The basement prison you saw was just one site. He drugged her regularly to keep her compliant with still identifying all the substances. Mark thought of Sarah's vacant eyes, her skeletal frame. Why contact me? Why risk exposure? Panic. When May's body was discovered, when he saw the news coverage, he knew we'd eventually connect it to him. He thought he could control the investigation by feeding you false information, by seeming helpful. He'd evaded serious charges before through manipulation and lies. He thought he could do it again. A soft knock interrupted them. Dr. Patel entered, a tablet in her hands. "Mr. Thompson, we've completed Sarah's initial examination." Mark steeled himself. "How bad is it?" "Physically, she's malnourished and has multiple vitamin deficiencies. We found high levels of benzodiazepines, antipsychotics, and other sedatives in her system. She's been kept in a chemical fog for years. The good news is that with proper nutrition and medical care, her body can recover, and psychologically, Dr. Patel's face was sympathetic but honest. She's been severely traumatized and psychologically manipulated. She shows signs of extreme conditioning. She asked permission to use the bathroom, to eat, even to speak. She flinches at any unexpected movement or sound. When we tried to examine her, she kept saying she'd be good, that she was sorry." Mark's eyes burned with tears. "Does she remember anything about before?" "Her memories are fragmented. Mr. Thompson, you need to understand." Pete told her repeatedly that her family had abandoned her, that no one was looking for her. He even told her the world had ended, that there was nuclear war, anything to keep her from trying to escape. She's been living in an alternate reality for 6 years. But she recognized me when I called her Sonny. That's a positive sign. Deeply embedded memories, especially those tied to emotion, can survive even severe trauma. But her recovery will be long and difficult. She'll need intensive therapy, possibly for years. They returned to Sarah's room where she was beginning to stir. Her eyes opened slowly, unfocused from the sedation. When she saw Mark, she tensed. "It's okay, Sonny," he said softly. "You're safe. You're in a hospital." Sarah's eyes darted around. The room, taking in the medical equipment, the window showing daylight, the clean sheets. Her voice, when it came, was a broken whisper. "This is real. This is real. You're free." Detective Rodriguez stepped forward carefully. "Sarah, I'm Detective Rodriguez. We arrested Pete Garrison. He can't hurt you anymore. He's going to prison for the rest of his life." Sarah stared at her, then at Mark. Slowly, tentatively, she reached out her hand. Mark took it gently, feeling how thin her fingers were, how fragile. "Did you?" Sarah struggled with words. "Did you look for me?" "Every single day," Mark said, his voice breaking. "I never stopped looking. I never stopped hoping." Tears rolled down Sarah's sunken cheeks. He said, He said you didn't want me anymore. He lied, baby. He lied about everything. Rodriguez's phone buzzed. She stepped away to answer, then returned. Mark, we've contacted the Chuns. We're sending officers to inform them that their daughter's killer has been caught. They wanted you to know they're grateful Sarah survived. What happens now? Mark asked. We continue investigating the sophisticated setup, the dark web distribution. Pete wasn't working entirely alone. We're tracking his connections, searching his properties. There might be other victims out there, other families who need answers. Mark looked at his daughter, 26 years old now, but broken in ways that made her seem both ancient and childlike. 6 years of her life stolen. 6 years of torture that no amount of justice could undo. Sarah squeezed his hand weakly. Dad, will I get better? Dr. Patel answered gently. With time, treatment, and support, you can heal. It won't be easy, but you're strong. You survived something unimaginable. We'll do it together, Mark promised. Whatever it takes, however long it takes, you're not alone anymore. Sarah managed. The faintest smile, barely there, but real. In that sterile hospital room, surrounded by the beeping of machines and the weight of unimaginable trauma, it was enough. She was alive. She was free. The monster who had stolen her life was in custody. His victims finally counted. Their suffering finally acknowledged. Mark sat in that hospital room looking at Sarah so different and older now, his heart breaking at how thin she was, how her eyes darted constantly to the door as if expecting Pete to appear. He felt rage at the monster who had done this, overwhelming, gratitude that she was finally free, and desperate hope that someday, somehow, his daughter would be able to heal from this nightmare.